I don't think it gets much better than this. I think these two are a fantastic match for a best-of-5 winner bracket final. ByuN and Solar, since ByuN returned from the military, they have actually traded out so many fun series, and they've played so many fun and, I want to say, fairly unique games as well. You know, in a world in which they're not always doing the same thing, right? ByuN obviously kind of revolutionized a couple things in the meta, and you know, Solo is always a fun player to watch in CVT. He's got a very fun style, very active style. Likes to go into those lurkers. ByuN is our blue Terran top right, of course. Solo is our red Zerg bottom left. Winner bracket finals, best of 5 in this winner bracket finals. Our first best of 5 of the tournament. After this, we drop to the lower bracket and work our way through there. TvT, PvP with Cure versus Soul, Zound versus Cest. The winners of those two play, and on and on. We've got 6 series in total today. 3 best of 3s and 3 best of 5. So like I said, it's a good little combination of longer series and shorter series. And it should make for a pretty darn good stream. Didn't really want to start with one of the best of 5s, but player scheduling meant we had to start with one of the best of 5s instead of best of 3s. A little unfortunate, but sometimes, friends, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Again, please excuse me. My voice is definitely not right. My throat's definitely not right, so I'm gonna have to take a few minutes, maybe the first couple games, to get it to where it needs to be. I don't know why. I'm gonna blame not being able to wake up properly. You know, I don't know why. My brain was just like, "Ugh, let's just be really tired this morning." And I was like, "No, brain, we slept a good amount. We should be really awake. We're really excited for the WardiTV Winter Championship finals, right?" And brain's like, "Yeah." And then I'm like, "Well, we're really excited for the other big news we've got today, right, Brain?" And Brain's like, yeah, I bet you guys are too, now that you know there's big news coming. It's actually officially already out there. If you guys are good at your detective work, you might be able to find out a sneak peek of what we're going to announce later on today. I need to stop having a party all night and singing like hell. Yo, you have no idea what I spent my last night doing. Oh, you have no clue. Well, you will in a couple hours' time when we do some announcements. I spent some time typing things, planning things. You know, getting my little soldering iron and soldering Starcraft 2 tournaments together. It was fun. Wardy's pregnant? Oh my god, no. Alright guys, Reapers across the map, obviously. This is going to be a double gas opening from ByuN as we get this started. So, no third CC right away on Pillars of Gold. Pillars is one of the maps where ByuN loves to go with this Hellbat opening. For whatever reason, he really seems to adore that build on Pillars of Gold, more so than any other map. And I don't really have a good reason why. Oh, he's going to go double factory this game. Okay. I can get behind this. A lot of Terrans have been doing this lately, actually. This double factory style. You go into the blue flame and the, whole chunk of Hellions. And a lot of them, this is what gets me the most, a lot of them have been using this factory in the main base as well, right? And that's what really gets me kind of interested, because this used to be a build where you'd proxy the factory out on the map, you'd hide it away. Now you just build it in the back of your main, so it is that much easier to scout. In a world where a lot of the Zergs, Solar included, oftentimes do go for that Overlord speed. This game doesn't look like Solar will go for that, at least not super early on, so a little bit of a fortunate setup there from ByuN. He's got 2 Marines now to deny an Overlord from scouting in, and obviously his second factory goes to a reactor. Now, it's quite important just to hide the Hellion count in general here, because you can absolutely tell that there's a second factory up by seeing too many Hellions too early on in the game. As this barracks finishes up, we should see Stimpack alongside this as well. This is not usually a mech build, despite the double factory. This is usually it's a pressure into bio build, right? And it's kind of, you might think, well, that's kind of crazy, right? You know, you're building so many Hellions, your barracks are late, you've got 2 factories. It transitions very well, and especially if these Hellions get a good start and you have a few Hellions left over, the follow-up bio pushes can be absolutely deadly. Whereas if you go into mech, the investment into all of these Hellions early, and then doing damage, you just can't follow up and actually do anything with it. It just doesn't matter. The Zerg can just outgreed your damage, basically. So, yeah. This is nice. 4 Hellions being shown, so you're basically hiding the extra ones that came off this single factory. So that's exactly what you want to do, right? Make sure your opponent does not know what's up. Now, of course, Solar's like, a little scared of what's going on. So he does go Baneling Nest initially. It's not a super early Baneling Nest or anything, and a Bane Nest doesn't guarantee you defense against Blue Flame Hellions, but it will help because You don't kill off Banelings quite as quick as Lings, and it can force the Hellions to pull back and kite a bit. As here we go, gonna move in, doesn't matter if there's no Banelings ready. The Lings get a good catch, keeping the Hellions in range of the Queens for a while. That definitely helps, and now only 4 Hellions up into the main base, one of which goes down to the next Queen along. Spoker will try and block in, and only 2 Hellions are going to reach this main base mineral line, and unfortunately that's just not quite enough to get a one-shot here, so that's going to be all of these Hellions dying off, and ByuN does not have a good start to this Hellion campaign. Now he's got a few more out the right-hand side, and he's still building additional Hellions too. Remember, the longer he builds Hellions for, the later it's going to be until he gets a reasonable bio count up. I'd say this has been a very good setup so far from Solar. Being able to hold this off so effectively with just Ling Queen. Yeah, okay, you know, Lings don't trade brilliantly against this, and there's a lot of Lings that go down, but overall it's efficient. And most importantly, it's efficient while not having to go off the beaten track. You've not had to invest into anything additional. You know, because you don't have to do that, you've only moved in, what, 3 Banelings here? Your band speed starts up right on time. You're already teched up into a lair, and your work account is looking fantastic as well. So Solar is really just already in fantastic places at the very start of this series. I like it a lot for him. Double drones go down. I mean, Hellion's still finding a little bit of tag damage, right? So at the same time, Overseer goes down as well. So ByuN getting a good cleanup. It is bio on the follow-up, right? And I think that's one thing that Solo just wanted to 100% make sure of. It isn't impossible to go into mech off Blue Flame Hellion, it's just more common to go into bio. So Solo confirms that just as he's starting melee upgrades. I feel like he actually had the Evo Chambers for a little while, so he might have just been waiting to double confirm you're definitely going, you know, bio. Cool, now I'll start my melee upgrades. If he was going mech, he might start missiles and then put down a delayed Roach Roar in here and just play kind of a Roach Bane kind of style or so. But or even like, I mean, it sounds crazy, but Hydra Bane used to be kind of like a style against mech. Maybe you could do that if you're already committed to the Banes. But either way, you'd want the missile upgrades, because it's going to be the missiles units, the Roaches or Hydras, whatever. Probably Roaches. That really do the majority of the work against the mech army. Zerglin sets off a lone Widow Mine, but nothing to go clean it up, so for the moment, ByuN just gets a kill on a scout in Zerglin, and Solo just has another Ling up to this top side, wants to keep an eye on when maybe that 4th base comes in. Now, when we talk about 4th bases, why is ByuN going to take a 4th base? Because he could play to the right-hand side. That does leave this left alleyway into this natural area very open. So that's one of the dangers of playing the right side 4th base. That's why typically you will just see this top side instead. You keep things consolidated. You defend this area, and then just kind of this area as well. And that kind of covers this position and this position. So, yeah, I'd say you probably go top side 4th and then right side 5th base, right? And that's when you start getting to the interesting part of Pillars of Gold, where you know, you have that fight if the Terran tries to take the right side 5th base. They usually keep it up for a while, and the Zerg eventually takes it down, but in taking it down, the Terran commits to the far left side. They get 2 bases over here, they deny this base for a while, and that's the kind of the dynamic that plays out on Pillars of Gold if we do get to the later stages of this TvZ. So if we get there, brilliant. Widowmine just randomly left there. And that's a whole chunk of Lings going down. My goodness, didn't get to click on it to see exactly how many, but that was an MVP Widowmine. Jeez. Well, ByuN, I'm going to say that quite makes up for the opening being horrific, but it definitely helps, doesn't it? That's a really nice way of trading, and he baited that as well. Like, he just has, like, 1 medevac of units. He's like, oh, yeah, come chase me. Oh, come clean me up. You don't expect a Widowmine with that little group of units, right? And that was what was almost kind of beautiful about the play. Not so beautiful if you're cheering on the Zerg side of things here, though, is one Widowmine still left alive, low HP. Most likely gets taken down before it gets to fire, but if we can stay in the backlines, maybe we'll get a chance to fire as see ByuN pushing forward again. No creep on this 5th base, which is where ByuN's going to focus his efforts. Ling being in a run forward, that Widowmine is going to not go off. I thought it was going to get to go off there, actually, as the Hellbats were taking the attention, but it just about went down. Alright, well, the resources lost that. Wow, ByuN's been trading beautifully the last little while. Obviously, that Widowmine helped a lot, but, yeah, everything kind of, goes a little bit off here. You're just going to see the kind of Ling Bane Hydra coming back around the bottom side. So we have gone into Hydras here. Obviously, I was talking about Hydras, like maybe as an alternative to playing versus mech, but I think Hydra is not too surprising to see here from Solar. He does like to play into the Lurkers later game, so the Hydras obviously give you a little bit of a better transition into that. ByuN's going to drop into the main base. No Muta's going to make life a little bit difficult. So these drops can definitely do a little bit more. As 2-2 against 1-1 is a big reason for this drop being able to trade so well for a while there. The Banelings had to come through to clean that up. Now we're going to see a little fight on this right-hand side. ByuN just stands his ground. I would have been splitting away and running for my life. But ByuN just stood there, and he was able to get rid of the majority of those Banes, honestly. It was not a bad decision. That was just a medevac going down at the end. Nice little catch there from Solar. ByuN on his way down through the center. The Bane coming forward, just going to be seeing Link Hydra coming through. Scan comes down, a couple crew teamers going to drop off. ByuN just going to pull it back up the right hand side a little bit. 3-3 upgrades on the way in. We got seismic spines on the way up on that lurker den, so getting them into that lurker range. So this game's going to change pace in a little bit. Eye around the left-hand side, a few Hellbats. That's going to be making a little bit of a move. And onto the group spread. Big push up from Solo as he comes on in. So going to be seeing the medevacs having to pull back a little bit. Ling Bane continue to roll through. On the bottom right side, we've got a BO5 that can move into the bottom right corner. Medevacs escape away. Not really much going on for a moment or two, right? It is this kind of transitionary period where you get into the Ghost Academy, the tank count's building up. You get into the point of dealing with these lurkers, and because of that, it gives Solo that kind of layer of safety. And look what he's done, really, right? He's taken this bottom right base. He's already got the left-hand side set up as well. He sets up to the upper left side and just getting ready for this Ling Bane Hydra Lurker Force. Ready to run on through. A few drones getting killed off behind the back here. So a couple of workers going down. Lurkers in a bit of trouble as well. He's trying to get the Hydra Den out of this, and he will get it. I mean, Hydra Den going down feels like a very minor victory, right? It's one of those buildings that doesn't take too long to rebuild. It's not like Solo's in immediate need of new Hydralisks. He had 6 drones along the way, but this is going to be the end of the drop, and including the dead medevac as the Queens get themselves a lucky position here, grabbing one. Fire joins up, tank sieging, and obviously Solo still thinking if he can get aggressive as well. He's got pretty good creep on the map. He doesn't have creep like all the way across, but he's got good creep to defend his bases for the most part. This is the most troubling location, perhaps. Obviously, this becomes very different when it comes to, defending bases and attacking in. You're not going to have creep to attack in anywhere, and even not having creep right up to the front doorstep means, running into these positions can take a while longer. Like this, though. I mean, if you can keep these lurkers alive, this can be very annoying to deal with as ByuN. You've got lurkers kind of marching around each side of the map, and if they get sieged up into a scary position, they can get so much done. So you can see a blind cloud coming down on the siege tank. Bane's going to take a whole bunch of damage. Hydras as well, as the lurkers, well, in the center of the map, are not going to be protected by much anymore. Solo's rebuilding a lot right away, so he looks like he's still maxed out, but he did just rebuild 60 Lings and a few Hydralisks here. If you look at the efficiency, it's definitely taken a bit of a turn back into Solo's favor from that earlier stage of the game when ByuN had been trading very well. But it's still overall ByuN favored, and that's fine for ByuN in the in the longer stages of this game. It's absolutely fine. Just going to see Ling Lurker making a move once again. These medevacs going to lift off. Guess the Ling Bane going to come on through. We're going to see ByuN trying to defend up at this top side. A lot of liberated lurkers kind of making their way through. I feel like ByuN's fallen apart a little bit. And he's cleaned up the majority of this right side attack. He does get the rest of these units over here. Wow, so he gets a cleanup. Credit to ByuN. I feel like he was in maybe a bit of trouble there. Maybe a little bit reckless by solo, maybe picking a fight he didn't believe he could take. But I don't blame him. I kind of thought he was eligible to take that one too, as we're going to miss the scan on the lurk. That's a little bit unfortunate, but he will get it in the end here. And ByuN is able to clean out. Excuse me for a moment, guys. As we get into, again, a very late stage scenario. The creep spreads continue to advance, so all of that creep issue I said about over here starting to disappear. I mean, Solo really owns this map, and what ByuN's essentially going to start playing for right now is hoping that Solo does exactly this, attacking into him so he can trade efficiently against these lurkers. And just get to a point where Solo, obviously, you know, if you keep on expanding here as ByuN, this eventually ends up going okay for you. He is going to lose the topside base, mind you, and he's going to lose all those SCVs. ByuN's going to say your army's up to the top, though, so what if I just run my bio down the bottom of the map? He's going to leave ghosts and tanks behind. And as long as he controls those correctly, that's actually plausible to actually just be a defense. So he comes through, he's going to get some creep spread. What else is ByuN going to go for here, though? Like, does he really get over to a base? So one of the problems I have is that Solo actually just has all of his bases already. So he's going to have what feels like an endless amount of money already available. And now, of course, ByuN might be able to outtrade Solo, but if Solo's just mining that much so quickly, I think that becomes a major problem. It's just going to be seeing this only in orbital as well, so there's no help from a planetary against those lings. Ghost's going to start sniping down a few of these lurkers. Hydra's trying to stop as many of those snipes as possible, and they're actually doing pretty okay. Lurkers get further forward once again, and canceling a few snipes. I think ByuN's just dead, guys. I think he's been overrun. Over on this right-hand side, other lings going to come through. These goats are in trouble, and that's obviously really bad. You do not want to be losing ghosts here. That's going to take away a lot of the efficiency of this army. And again, ByuN only had 50 workers. Now he's lost another 20, and he's not going to be able to rebuild from this as Solo make some pretty serious plays to get the break on ByuN right here. And I do feel like ByuN just didn't have quite enough control on the map. And so Solo's able to put himself into winning position and is able to walk away with game number 1 of our best of 5 winner bracket final. Alright, let's dive into game number 2. I'm going to start it off on the top left-hand side. Down a map. I kind of let that game get away from him. Our red Terran player is ByuN. Taking on the blue Zerg in the bottom right-hand side of the map. It is going to be TvZ Gaming Solo. And again, I'm going to keep saying this because it's really exciting, but TvZ Gaming, ByuN's Shopify Rebellion. Both teams are going to be seen in the World Team League. That starts this coming Friday. I'm freaking excited, guys. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you tune in every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from March 26th until the middle of June. The World Team League, it's going to be epic. I've not been so excited for a tournament in such a long time. It's going to be so good as we have triple racks. Middle of the map, in the speedy zone, doesn't actually affect anything. Every time somebody builds triple racks in the middle of the map in the speedy zone, someone says, yeah, well, you see, it's really smart because the barracks builds faster, right? No, the barracks doesn't build faster. The speedy zone does nothing other than speed up the unit movement. So, yeah, it doesn't really have much of an impact. Solo, you know what Solo's doing? He's scouting for proxy racks as well. He's around the left-hand side. He does keep this overlord at home, so that's good news in the sense that at least he's going to have some pre-warning that there's an attack coming in. Right, this is not going to be Solo ending up in a position where this overlord doesn't see it until there's a bunker up on the natural. So you get a few extra seconds where you can start to pull drones, and those few extra seconds can be quite important as well, as the SCV and the Marine are going to reveal themselves. And here we go, drones immediately down to the low ground. First bunker gets down right away as the first drone gets a nibble on the SCV. Some pretty good HP on this bunker, and what a position for that SCV to go into. So yes, a really good position to start things off here as we see the extra Marines showing up, and this is where they're going to start being able to get rid of drones rather quickly. How did that Marine slip away? He was surrounded, no? Oh, Solo's starting to lose a lot of drones, so when you lose this many drones, you cannot possibly let the bunker go up, which is what the Lings are going to deny, but man, this is a lot of drone kills, and now you've got drones that are going to get chased down via the speedy zone. 7 workers killed, a lot of lost mining time. This has already been a success story for ByuN. He still has, as well, a marine count building up that can still be aggressive here. Now, there's a couple queens, so it's definitely going to become a bit more difficult. 3 racks is obviously a little bit more committed, right? There's no there's no gas at all, so you can't go factory or anything. ByuN looks like he's going to be saving up probably for command center before he does anything else. That or he's going to pull the SCVs. I'm going to make a choice soon as to how exactly you're going to finish this game off. Going to pull the SCVs and just go for one big burst. Are you going to expand? He's going to expand. So I think it makes sense. And Solar, he actually gets to see this as well. Scouts it with the Overlord, sees the expansion. So now Solar knows as well that there's got to be some droning in his army. He can't just purely build, you know, lings and just be like, yeah, I got to just defend. Because that's not how this is going to work anymore. As ByuN kind of wanted that spine crawl. He takes a lot of marine losses for it. Queens do not have the energy to transfuse yet, which is why he's trying to make the play on it right now. He's got a couple seconds to get this kill. He will get it. Great decision making by ByuN. The transfusion is ready now. And you can see the two queens transfuse each other up. He would have much rather kept the spine alive. The queens actually being the last point of defense is a little scary, because if you get to enough marines, queens are not scary at all. The thing is, lings are about to have ling speed though, and there's a third queen out as well. Surely that's getting to the point of being a bit too much damage output. Ling speed especially should just shut this down and stop ByuN from really doing much else. He is rallying marines back home now, so it seems like he's accepting as well. The damage is done. I still don't mind him committing for the spine crawl. It might feel like, well, that spine was made to defend this, and yes, it was. But killing the spine crawler means there's a spine crawler that's not just there defensively for the rest of the game. It's kind of crazy how good it is just having like the random spine crawler that you built earlier, because it takes away a lot of, you know, potential halberd attacks. It just defends a location, so if you can take that away, it does just remove some of the safety for the Zerg a little bit further down the line. As you do see, I think it's just gonna run in. These marines are gonna gather back up towards that bunker. It's just going to jump into the bunker. The rest of the lings continue to stream across the map. Factory is about to be finished in the main base. And these other racks going to move across, going to get landed as the reactor builds up on the factory. Starport's starting to come through as well. Third hatchery on the left here. And set to go as a couple of these group teams are going to be spreading out left, right, up through the middle. Everything just collecting together again for a few more moments. We settle down and we wait for the next step of this game. We see Medevac, a couple more Hellions on the way through. Lair's on the way up here from Solar as well. It's just getting this up and running. So it's a pretty quick Lair, right? When you look at what else he's got in this game. Obviously, by strictly the clock, it's not very quick, but it's before Galen Nets, it's before Evo Chambers. And look at ByuN. He's actually going to go into an armory, so he is looking to make this a bit of a Hellbat follow-up, right? He's not going to have a lot of Hellbats, as Hellions do make themselves known. We have a few Marines. Yeah, I mean, let's see what he can do. The Balin Nest, at least again, like I said, will be here from Solar. It's not immediately quickly, but neither is the Hellion count of ByuN. If ByuN was already on 6 Hellions, I'd be worried for Solar, but without the 6 Hellions already being on the map, the fact he just got to 4, I don't think he's going to do anything significant before the Balin Nest is safely up and there's enough Balins on the map to realistically defend a Hellbat attack here. This 2 Hellion is going to pull it away. Back up to the top side. Now here comes the Medevacs. So Stim's on the way. You obviously see this Marine attack coming through. You know there's Hellions on the map. You scout in with this Overseer. Where's the armory and the natural? So Solar's going to see that. He's already making 12 Banelings. Surely, with 12 Banelings, there's no real way to bust through this. Right? That's what I want to believe. Hellions wolf in a Hellbats. A few of these creep teams start to go down, and ByuN is going to continue his onslaught down to the bottom side of the map here. Another creep team going down. Queen's pulling back just a little bit. The other Marines on the left-hand side going back and forth a little bit as well. Extra Marines just on the way out. Stimpack and 1-1 upgrades building on the engineering base. Now we come through the center, and we're going to get rid of a little bit of creep spread. So some creep spread going down as well. Hellbat's coming in, just going to be seeing the Queens able to push the Hellbat Marine back away up through into the center again. Again, this Queenling Bane Force setting up a little bit. We're going to see the first Queen going down. All Ling's getting picked off. What ByuN's doing is kind of nice though, right? Because he's forcing units and he's not actually making them be put to use at all. So, he definitely slowed the drone count a little bit with this, which is, it's something at least, right? I mean, better than throwing all these units away and making these units be somewhat useful and then ByuN having no pressure at all on the map. At least now he's still got an army that he's probably just going to reinforce and get even stronger. So, I can appreciate kind of what he's been able to get done here as we do see the Ling Bane making its way around the right-hand side. Little Widowmine here picks off a Zerglin, who's just going to be seeing the combat shields. Is about halfway done, so that's on its way up as a couple of extra racks will build from ByuN. Here in the main base. Single Marine gets rid of a Zergling. These two medevacs are going to start boosting their way out onto the map. Just as he sees this Ling Bane attack coming in, so he's going to be like, well, I have to come deal with this, man. And these SCVs are kind of just, because it comes up the natural ramp and then left to the third, the SCVs don't have a good way to run. Somehow they get themselves back towards the natural. That's kind of impressive. I did not have any idea how they were going to survive, but they find a way. I feel like only 9 workers lost is something of a miracle here, considering that, a lot of this Ling Bane is now going to go down, and he got a few bio units as well. I wouldn't say that ByuN's too upset with how this went. Obviously, he loses a few depots at the front too. If he loses that one, he'll be supply blocked. He's not building any others just yet, so there is problems in this game for ByuN that he needs to look at. He doesn't want to get supply blocked here, but he will be. 2-2 upgrades as well on the way now from Solar, who's also on his way into that hydrogen infestation pit, and we kind of know what his late game is going to look like. It's going to look very similar to the last game that we had as well, so he's going to really focus on getting toward those lurkers. On a map like Death Aura, there's one of those maps where lurkers can sit defensively, defend a lot of bases, and we might get a long drawn-out game. I just wonder if Solar is actually still in too much of a lead that this game just kind of ends once he gets towards the first round of lurkers or so, Huge drop of ByuN around the bottom side. To be fair, I feel like the one moment in the last game when ByuN looked really good was when he was starting to drop, starting to get some damage done and stuff. I had an upgrade lead and so on that definitely helped, but it was definitely one of the stronger points of his game, so I don't mind him kind of coming in here and starting to drop in a big way once again. I mean, these are kind of risky, big drops, but the sort of drops he might just need in a game like this one where realistically 4th base is very late. Solo's gone up to 90-ish drones without really many troubles at all. His biggest trouble, his biggest concern was ByuN threatening an attack that he never committed to. So, if that's the worst thing you have to deal with as a Zerg player in in ZVT, I feel like you're pretty content for the most part. Another little Widowmine goes off. A few more Zerglings going down. I'm going to load a few more units. I'm just going to be seeing Solo with Ling Bane Hydra on the bottom side here. A little bit more Ling Bane Hydra on the right, setting up as well. These Widow Mines being cleared out. I thought that one might actually get to go off. There's no drilling claws yet, and that's actually kind of really showing here. These Widow Mines would have had a few kills if they'd had drilling claws. It's on its way, but just another casualty of the way that the game has gone, right? ByuN not able to afford everything super early on, just slowly getting his way towards all of those upgrades and so on. As he takes the 4th base, he's just adding on extra racks. There's still no real tech in his army. Obviously just Widow Mines, right? But while talking about Seismic Spines being on the way up, he is now starting to make a switch into siege tanks. Well, there's already Vipers on the way for those. I'm just worried about this first round of lurkers and just what ByuN can really do against it. Obviously, you're going to have probably until Adaptive Talents is done before you have to worry about aggressive lurkers. I feel like ByuN's not in the greatest setup to deal with it. Let's see what he can do. As you do see him pushing forward, he's going to catch a few of these lurkers before they get finished up. So that's nice. And the one that does finish gets killed off immediately. So, I mean, this has been a better trade for ByuN for sure. This has definitely been a highlight of the game for him. As the Lings come through, they pick off a couple of those Widow Mines. Just cleaning up over on this right-hand side. A few more Lings over on the left. Going to be joined up by Lurker Production again. And everything's just taken into play here from Soul. He's got Banes on the left-hand side, so this Hellbat Marine run by does absolutely nothing, cleaned out immediately. So that doesn't even stand a chance. As that ladder comes through, these lurkers are going to start firing, and we do have Lingbait and Hydra continuing around the right side, trying to see what they can get up to. Lurkers are setting up, and just going to be seeing ByuN backing away. Here we go, the BO5 is going to fire, the Bane's going to roll through, and again, a few extra lurkers just going to get burrowed up and able to push back this BO5. So, ByuN has been trading decently. Resources lost in his favor, he's definitely had some good fights. And he's been able to keep the lurker count that little bit lower for a little while longer, but now these lurkers really are in a setup where the numbers are there. And what is ByuN achieving? Well, he's denying the far left side base, but that's about it. And there's a moment in the game where, Solo doesn't even really need to think about that far left-hand side base if he doesn't want to. ByuN's only on 4 bases, no sign of a 5th command center. In a weird way, it's almost like ByuN is all in on 4 bases, as here he goes. Solo's now going to get aggressive. As I was saying, this first attack with the lurkers is going to be very scary for ByuN to deal with. He doesn't really have a siege tank count. First Liberator shows up, well, that gets abducted. I feel like Solo's army did not do very well here even, and yet he is going to stand strong with the lurkers. I just felt like everything else in his army kind of disappeared very quickly, but you know what? Doesn't really matter. Kills off a factory as... Oh, were these tanks blocked in? I think they were blocked in. Well, that's going to be painful, because they could have been a couple of extra tanks to the front, and maybe they would have made the difference. Maybe they would have made the difference. Solo takes a 2-0 lead in this best. Alright, guys, let's go into game number 3 of this series. Down 0-2. And the top right-hand side of the map is our red Terran player who is just... Well, it's just not his day right now, to be fair, but I feel like it's not so much his fault. It's ByuN in the top right. Some of the openings aren't going so well for him. But honestly, the guy in the bottom left, Sola, our Blue Zerg player from TvZ Gaming, he's just been playing pretty freaking well, to put it simply. So, Sola looking to advance to the finals if he wins this. Top 2 guaranteed. You know what's really sick? If Sola advances to the finals, we're guaranteed no mirror match grand finals. He's the only Zerg left in the tournament. So that's actually pretty cool. It's pretty nice. I'm a fan of that. Hey, thank you so much. Couple of subs, shoutouts very quickly. Meow Downtown on the 1-year resub. Welcome back, good to have you. Appreciate it. 1-year resub. It feels like we're starting to get to the quarantine. It's soon, right? I was actually looking at my numbers from April and March last year. Like, geez, we went kind of wild last year and casted a whole bunch of stuff. But yes, it was around this time last year where the stream kicked off because everyone got locked in their houses and stuff. So the quarantine anniversaries are coming up. Hey, thank you so much, Azen. 1337 for the Prime sub as well. Appreciate it. As we just make our way around the map, and you are going to be seeing factory away from the front. So is ByuN going to go back to what he did in game number 1? That would be my initial assumption. This factory doesn't have space to build a tech lab there, by the way, though, so that might be a bit of a mistake. The other build this could be is you just go for singular Hellion production, you build Marines, and you go for a Marine drop with 3 or 4 Hellions. I'm interested. He can just build a second factory now if he wants to. Nope, gonna go Starport. He's gonna go Tech Lab on the factory. I have no idea what's going on. Is this gonna be a... I'm trying to make this up as I go along. I guess is this super fast cloak banshees? That's my best assumption. Either super fast cloak banshees, or for some weird reason you're gonna make a Raven in TvZ, which was something that I want to say even ByuN was doing for a little while. You've not seen it in a hot minute, but usually it always came around with Hellions, because that's the power of actually making a Raven, is that then you've got the Raven to give you the detection, so your Hellions that are out on the map can get so much done. Wow, it's just going to be mega fast cloak banshee. This is actually something that ByuN did against, was it Cyril in Asus ROG? I think it might have even been on Oxide. at the end of 2020. And this is something that ByuN did again. I want to say he did against Serral, and he stacked up 2 Banshees, and Serral was just so good. He had a Ling patrolling over here, and it caught the 2 Banshees attempting to move down the right-hand side of the map. And it just completely revealed this entire, this entire game plan of ByuN, basically. So, yeah, and it's kind of smart because what ByuN can make this look like, I believe, is a 2-1-1. Because you see it's Marine only, right? So if you see kind of a lack of, Hellions, I think one of the first assumptions you really make is probably going to be seeing a whole bunch of, Marines. Man, this Banshee just cannot find a way across the map. First the Overlord, now the Zerglings. It's just going to have to reveal itself. So yeah, I think you kind of playing on the idea of what your opponent expects, and hoping your opponent makes assumptions, but having to actually reveal the Banshee is obviously painful, and he obviously reveals it as single Zerglings are just moving around. There's no other way to do this, so it is still a fast Banshee. You can still maybe get in for a bit of damage. I mean, Cloak Banshees in general are typically very good at finding drones, even when there's prepared defenses to deal with them. So don't worry too much about the Banshee not doing much just yet. I'd say that's rather fine. Still, actually, I mean, look at this, just able to sit in between and just handle the fact that there's put some damage out into Queens and stuff. The Lair's not done for a little while longer, so yeah, cloaked up. That just can be a little annoying for a while. And he's actually cleaned up a couple of creep tumors as well, so yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. This is super fast Banshees as well, so you would definitely hope they do at least some economic damage. And you've given up your map control in the form of Hellions to be able to do this, so to not get anything at all, that definitely hurts. At least, like, when they're cleaning up the creep, it somewhat makes up for one of the things that the Hellions would usually do. But now these Banshees are just going to back away, and I'm going to say, not really hyped about ByuN's opener for yet another game in a row. I mean, these are some expensive creep patrollers, aren't they? They aren't going to loop around toward the main base, but I mean, these drones here, these are the target, surely, as goes up against 2 Queens, just backs away, taking very little damage on the Banshees, just consistently checking to see if there are any options for him to really deal damage. He's got 2 Medivacs, about to have Stim on the map, so maybe he can start to make something out down to the bottom side here. This is also revealed by his Zergling, though, so Solar, again, his vision on this map has been perfect so far. He's really just aware of everything that's going on. These few Marines are going to see the Ling run by at least, so ByuN actually catching a bit of a break with this little bit of a rally around the side. Actually doing well for him. Gets a Queen in the main base, so the Banshees do come into play, and actually going to get a couple of these drones on the edge of the base now as Solar also has to deal with the Marines, taking down some Banes on the left-hand side, so this is what ByuN's been waiting for, a little bit of multitask potential, and finally he's going to get some damage out of this. The Queen, a couple of drones, a couple of the Banes on that low ground. Now he's going to drop into the main base. Don't think he'll be able to finish off that Overlord at all. It's very tempting to just drop a couple of Marines back and try and target it down, isn't it? I would have tried. I would have failed as well. SCVs are fallen, as we do have a little run by. Continues onto the 3rd base, but that gets dealt with pretty handily too. So, yeah, ByuN defensively looking good this game. And again, I like that he's been able to actually just assert a bit of pressure, right? Because it was really missing in the previous game, at least, right? He was just the best he did was just stand outside of the Zerg base. I mean, as threatening as that may be, it's not really doing like I say. I didn't mind the idea because Solar was so well prepared, but that was the issue. Because Solar was so well prepared, he couldn't do anything. Much better to see him actually being able to get in, force some fights, force some trade outs. It just gives ByuN a much better, well, for me, a much better hope. Much better hope for him in this game, honestly. Ling's going to run in, and Marine's going to stand their ground here. 1-1's pretty freaking good. He's going to target fire down the Banes. It's kind of slow, kind of one Baneling at a time, so I know it's kind of exciting, but it's also very, when we watch him ByuN, it was not the most impressive kind of Baneling target fire we've ever seen. Kind of expect him to be able to pull off that one, so trading well. I mean, the 1-1 upgrade advantage, that was just a few, there for a few seconds. Actually kind of created a lot of opportunities for him right then, and now he's actually traded pretty well. He might be able to make this kind of spiral a little bit out of control, as he's still fighting here and actually still doing well. Finally a proper amount of units shows up to defend this, but we're now 8 drones down. These Marines are all stranded on these rocks, and they're just gonna have no choice but to fight against these Queens. No, there's nowhere to go. I just like to imagine those Marines clinging onto the rock face by like one hand, trying to fight off the Zerg with another. It's like some epic action movie shot. There's another fight on this bottom side doing well. And the last year, Marine's like, I die for my country, or I die for my Terran brothers. And he drops down, like shoots one final queen in the face. The movie ends, I don't know. Marines continue to stim on through, these queens continue to drop, and we're just going to be seeing our Baneling count is just not getting up at all. And this is ByuN just spiraling a game out of control with these engagements. We always talk about the importance of an upgrade lead and how little timing windows can mean so much, and it doesn't always come to fruition, but in this case, I really believe those 10, 15, maybe it was 20 seconds where the 1-1 was done from ByuN and it wasn't from Solo, has created so many of these problems, because without that 1-1 upgrade timing, ByuN never trades so well on the right-hand side that this attack keeps going, that a few drones go down, too many lings fall, he gets the chance to target fire down those Banes. That doesn't create more of a distraction to then let the damage on the left side continue, which means the damage on the right side then becomes worse yet again. I feel like a lot of this was created by that 1-1 upgrade advantage, and ByuN just having that for a couple of these fights, able to tilt things slightly in his favor, and now, with a bit of momentum, has been able to get so much more out of it. I'm just gonna punch into the medevac there. So medevac taking a little bit of damage. We are gonna loop around the right-hand side. Lingbane Hydra coming through. A couple of Widow Mines gonna start firing off, and Lingbane Army taking some damage. Gonna push back down with these Marines, chase the Hydras away. He's going to start splitting back as we're going to be seeing the Banelings continue to roll on through. Got a tank here that's going to be able to fight down a few of these Banes as well. It's going to end up being cleaned out as we're going to be seeing the Bioforce of ByuN pulling back up to the top side. ByuN still having that advantage on his way to 3-3. There's the Infestation Pit as Solar is going to start making a bid for the Hive and a bid for the Lurkers. I don't think this is a game where you get to those Lurkers. I don't think this is a game where you get to that Hive tech at all. If you do, then credit to you, but I'd be well impressed, to be honest. Let's see if Solar can pull off some Zerg magic here as Antry gets cancelled on the left-hand side, right? Everything about this game is just the opposite of the previous games. ByuN's getting in and dealing damage, he's taking the lead. He's denying the bases, right? He's keeping Solar on an equal base count. Resources lost is even more in ByuN's favor than it has been before. He's going to have a serious upgrade timing on this 3-3, and you know, usually we talk about like big 2-2 maxed out pushes. I think this might be like a big 3-3 maxed out push. As ByuN not bringing his tanks across the map just yet, but there's been zero pressure from Solo, so you really probably could start to make a real major push on this bottom side. A couple tanks behind these rocks. We know this is one of the positions that the Terrans really love to play. ByuN just going to run it back against those Banelings. Doesn't want to play anything too risky. Now he's going to unsiege the tanks. I mean, 3-3's kicking in soon, so like I said, if there's a time to start looking for the fight, it really is kind of, you know, in the near future. I was going to see, I don't think he ever got a chance to kill off the Hive here, right? But he's going to put himself behind this mineral line, and Zerglings do not micro their way around there properly, so it takes the Banelings showing up to clean it out. But look how many units are in the main base now, and look how much Terran has just showed up on the other side of the map. Tanks get sieged. These Hydras are in some serious trouble. The Bioforce is going to continue to stim on in. And this is just going to be Ling, Bane, and Hydra continuing to fall. I mean, there's just absolutely no way as these tanks will win out. GG's, and ByuN is going to take Game 3 of the series. And we've got just more StarCraft 2 coming your way from us, all for the next couple months guaranteed. And yeah, it's as always made possible by you guys, so if you can support, do consider it. As we dive on into the bottom right side of the map, our red Terran player is ByuN, taking on the blue Zerg. In the upper left corner, it is Solar. Still has match point in his hands, but obviously did not have much momentum going for him in that last little battle. Because there was also a Terran map, Oxide. I wouldn't say the Terran, you know, the Terran favored stuff on that map really came to fruition. I feel like the tank position at the very end is the sort of stuff you're like, oh yeah, this white's so good for Terran, and I feel like any map could have devolved into this sort of attack, you know, series of attacks that we saw from ByuN that did so well, you know? Hey, thank you so much. As you see a 3Rex coming up, I gotta say thank you to the original pod for the 5,000 bits. I appreciate the generosity. And Nova Swing on the 5-month resub as well. I'll shout you guys out properly after the game. There's 3Rex is coming up, and Solar is gonna come and scout through toward the middle of the map, at least this time with this OV. Hey, but is this OV gonna be able to get the high ground vision to survive? Oh, no, 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 no! Well, yes. oh, yes, he is, guys. Yes, he is, but he's also not going to actually do his job in the process. Gosh dang it, darn it. No, Solo, no, 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 no. Well, he did defend this last time and get into a reasonable position on Death Aura without the necessary immediate kind of barrack scout. It just is tough. This bunker goes up against the edge, gives you a little run around to work with. STV's just pulled back, and Marines? Oh, he's going to cancel the bunker right away. These Marines want to try and put some damage out, get a drone kill or two if possible. Firstling's on the way up. Is ByuN going to put the bunker down right here? More than anything, this really just creates this choke point, right, that these Marines can work with. So, again, it gives you just a little bit of space for the Marines to do a little better. Drone's going to pull in. The whole point of this right now is you absolutely want to try... Oh my god, he's target firing Lings. That's actually kind of sick. You know, obviously you're trying to use these drones as buffer, but if you target fire down Lings, you can't take away the power of that. These Marines are going for this spine. It's going to have to be cancelled. I think ByuN is doing this, guys. Pushing it through. A couple more Lings going down. This is looking bad for Soul. He's not killed a single Marine just yet. Boy, oh boy. Honestly, target fire on Lings in that situation is so sick. It's so difficult to select such a small unit in amongst those drones. Like, genuinely, that's actually... I don't know if, like... That's really not normal, honestly. Like, look at this. This is actually, I think, somewhat, like, it's so important because he's like, look, how do you pick out the Zergling? If I gotta click on that link, boom, I miss. Boom, I miss. Boom. Okay, I get it the third time around. And ByuN does it once, twice, turns onto another link. This one maybe not as bad to target fire. I mean, every time there's a Ling in range, he's hitting a Zergling. That's actually sickening. Finally, as he moves forward, he doesn't target fire anymore, but the damage is kind of done because he doesn't lose any Marines. Like, I know it's just a little bit of micro, but it was pretty sick. It's closed. Complaint line is closed. No, the complaint line is closed! You can't complain anymore! Thank you. Hang up on that mother. Bottom right-hand side, our right Terran player is going to be ByuN. And just in case I put this on YouTube, guys, apparently ByuN was not sick. Apparently the drones removed commanding, so the Lings took priority aggro. So I just went back on a replay and literally zoomed in on ByuN. Not actually, you know what it is? I guess you could probably see it as well because you can see where ByuN clicks. You can probably see ByuN not actually click on the link. So really 10 out of 10 analysis and casting by me that was completely incorrect. Loved it. Game 5. As Solar had a 2-0 lead, it's now 2-2. And, in we go. Yeah, so ByuN tries 2 proxy Rexes in this series. One works, one doesn't. Well, I mean, the first one kind of did okay. It was the follow-up that didn't really do anything. That was kind of the problem. ByuN, gonna just scout around. Solar has a little bit of trauma in his mind from that proxy rack, so he's just gonna try and make sure as much as possible there's no proxy racks. This is actually a proxy rack scout as well. It doesn't seem like it, but this right here has actually become a more popular proxy location than you'd like to believe. Just gonna be seeing the factory coming in as ByuN gets himself settled down into a Marine First opener. So Marine First gonna go into a reactor in a moment or so. That means we're gonna play no Reaper here. But still in the factory, gonna go double gas as well. So not a fan of this 3cc that has been fairly dominant in the meta in general though, right? I mean, we have seen a lot of 3 command center builds as of late. And this is the winner bracket finals. The winner of this goes through to the grand finals. The loser will drop to the lower bracket finals. The lower bracket where we still have some extra games to play out. After this, we've got Cure taking on Soul. We've got Zatwin taking on Zest. So a couple of best of 3s to follow this. That should give us a couple bit of, a good bit of action, and then we're going to have the winners of those two series fight each other, and then the winner of that will fight the loser of this, and then the grand finals. So 6 series today, 3 best of 3s, 3 best of 5s. Epic. Epic. Oh, that was kind of deep. I didn't even know I could go. I mean, it wasn't like a good deep. It just was deep. Who knew I could talk like that? Alright, guys. We are, gonna see a queen hanging out the front, chilling out on a ramp. Fusion core gonna build up from ByuN in the back of this main base. So ByuN really gonna switch it up going into game 5. The battle cruiser is pretty much the biggest switch up you can make. You know what I find really interesting about this series, though, is that Solar has not a single time gone Overlord speed. And Solar is the kind of guy to go Overlord speed as well, so I wonder if that's just something where we see Solar go Overlord speed a lot more against other players. Maybe he feels like he can play against ByuN anyway. Maybe he feels like he can't afford to go Overlord speed against some of ByuN's attacks, so he just has to play it blind and, try and play his best game. I don't know, actually. I don't know. Marina is going to turn that Overlord around, pushes it out to the left. BC on the way, so no scouting available for Solar. Now, he is going to play it safe. Spores coming down. These are Liberator Spores, though, right? They're not positioned to fight a BC, because if a BC teleports, for example, into the main base, you just go over here and this Spore's not in range, then it has to relocate, and that's already a problem. So these Spores are assuming a Liberator. Obviously, that still means you have Spores. What do the Lings see up this ramp? He sees a starport, but no tech lab, so you've got no idea what's actually building on this. But you do know where the starport is. The Overlord's going to dive in, and it is going to get the scout. What? Uh-oh. What can it be? Like, what else do you really assume this is? Off of a tech lab starport with no, no research on it? It could be a safety banshee, but there's no 3cc, so then you pretty much are left assuming that this is a battlecruiser. That's good information to have, as these queens can collect together. The spores can relocate into the center of the mineral lines instead of the edges. And Solar will be a little bit better prepared to deal with this. There's going to be seen an armory finishing too. So we'll have a bit of a Hellbat attack to tag along with this battlecruiser. That was definitely a lag spike. Alright, gonna get this resumed as ByuN backs the battlecruiser up. Now he does have the Hellions about to morph into Hellbats over here. One drone going down. DC just gonna make its way around. Hellions will morph into those Hellbats.
Game paused.
Alright guys, give us a moment. Obviously we don't really want the lag to continue in this attack. Alright, we're gonna resume as we jump in. BC is gonna be fighting the queens. Now the Hellbats are making their way up the ramp, and there's not a lot of units there, and especially no Banelings ready to go. Oh, he's gonna morph them right in the front. The Hellbats are gonna be able to grab those Banes. That's actually a bit of a problem as these Banes continue to go down. It's actually a huge problem as BC also still around, and there's not really been any kind of, like, continued queen attacks onto the BC. There's Baneling though, and the other Banes on the bottom side crash in. The Hellbats will go down. And the BC is going to get out of there in the end, so is able to escape away. Just going to see a couple of these drones continuing to fall right now. The couple of queens are going to come up and continue to push that BC back. We are just going to be seeing the Spire on the way in the back of the natural mineral line. So getting this up and running. Really sick ult from Solar in the end. That was dangerous. I mean, when these Hellbats show up and you've got your Banes morphing right in the face of them and everything. Resources lost is still good from ByuN, don't get me wrong. He keeps the BC alive, it goes home, it gets repaired. It's going to continue to be a harassment unit on this map. Solar will go for the Spire. So we're going to see him playing a different style this time around as ByuN. I definitely think ByuN still comes out of this in a good position. 3rd CC moving into location. 1-1 upgrades, a little bit ahead of what Solar has for upgrades. Obviously, the mutas are going to be a big part of this as well, though. It's just going to be seeing the DC continuing up the right-hand side. Marines coming through. And Fling does get taken down as well. Out in the center. As we continue into this, the Medivacs continue to fly through the middle. Again, Queenling Bane setting up defensively. Medivac's going to come through and go for a little bit of a push onto this position. Scanning forwards, we're going to see 2-3 creep teamers picked off. These Banes don't have speed for a little while longer, but don't think this is scary enough to really transpire into anything too meaningful. Mutas on the way. The BC teleports in 8 seconds, so I think the BCs should be fine, even with the Mutalisks coming out. And if it gets away from the Queens, might even be able to try and fight off the Mutalisks, try and get a kill, as they will obviously be looking for a kill on the BC. That or you commit to a dive through on this main base mineral line. He's been pretty cautious with the BC. Definitely seems like he wants to just keep it on the map as long as possible. Keep the Queens in position defending it. So I can appreciate that. This Overlord can survive. Like I say, maybe you get a chance to fight off a Muta or two. And, well, you will. The question is, does Solar continue to pull them back? He does not. You're actually going to get rid of one Muta. Now target fires a second. That's 2 Muta kills. You've got teleport available. ByuN uses it at the right time. And he gets that BC away. A couple of Mutas killed off already. And the efficiency from the battlecruiser continues to persist throughout this early stage of the mid-game now. This ByuN momentary upgrade lead. Oh, nice Lings, though. Going to make a play to catch some of the reinforcements. And that tank, unfortunately, is just unsavable. I'll get rid of the Lings, but then the Mutas show up on the Marines. And the Marines will at least get a Mutalisk. So you find a little bit of value back there at the very end. It does weaken the push of ByuN. It weakens this position. If 2 tanks are siege here, it's way scarier. And at this point in time, I imagine Solar's looking at this as an army you can absolutely break, and I think ByuN believes it as well. Solar realizes now that this army's not here anymore. He's dropping into the natural, so Solar has to go and handle that. As ByuN is just going to lift up. Obviously shouldn't let his units just stick around there, but now the mutas are here. And this is something that ByuN's not had to deal with all series long. He's never had to be in a position where his drops can be chased away by Mutalisks. And, his Medivacs genuinely fall into trouble in, a very quick moment or two. We see the tactical jump almost ready again on this BC as it just comes through, cleaning out some creep spread. Just trying to take map control away from Solar, who is going to end up going down the left-hand side of the map for his expansions. So that's his 5th base settling down. ByuN taking his 4th base out the front. And it seems like we're going to get ourselves into quite the little macro game here. I like this BC. Turns into the mutas. Just be like, okay, turn in, get a kill, right? You're not going to pull that muta back in time. Teleports out again. It's consistent damage output from the BC. It's keeping the mutas at home as well. Like, now the mutas have freedom to go across the map, but this is really the first time they've had freedom to go across the map. So ByuN has had an eternity in Starcraft time to prepare for these Mutalisks, right? You look back at home, he's got a turret up, he's obviously got Marines back at home. Like, these mutas are never going to fly into a mineral line and just find 10+ workers without there at least being something of a defense in place. So that's all because of the way this BC is played, and even the drops kind of a sacrifice to some extent to give you that extra bit of time as well, where you can continue to prepare very easily and without having to kind of run around after mutas. He actually didn't have a turret in the main, but he's realizing that and setting it up now as well. And at the end of the day, the mutas didn't even get that aggressive. He scared them off, so he didn't even need the turret until now. So even an additional bonus. BC gets a couple of these creep tumors. Mutas go flying in and going to go for the battlecruiser as well. One muta goes down, other muta's still coming up. BC is going to fall. So that is the end of the battlecruiser this time. Always a shame when the BC dies, because it always feels like you could have still just, if you just get it away, you can still do so much more, right? But at some point it's probably going to fall. You make a mistake there as ByuN, you go forward too soon. As he's waiting for his +2 armor to finish, it's going to finish about the same time as 2-2 of the Zerg, so upgrades will remain even, with ByuN looking for this continued push through the center of the map. Couple queens going to find themselves being chased away momentarily. Another Widow Mine saying, oh, it gets picked off by the Banes. What's nice is these Widow Mines in the front, they went off on a single Baneling or two each before, but now they're actually going to get to recharge and probably get to go again. So that's obviously a pretty good positive. The Bio Army of ByuN going to come back through the bottom side of the map here. Our Mutalisks around the top once again, and again with the Queenling Bane setting up. It's going to get ourselves a maxed out Zerg army ready to run into the Terran forces. These Widow Mines actually get a Mutalisk each, which is nice. Or did one go off? I think one went off in the Overseer that I didn't see. But yeah, a couple of Mutas still getting hit, right? And you lose one, and again, Widow Mines that were kind of meant to die after the previous attack, but just didn't. Just trying to cancel this base again. Going to be more difficult now that there is a Thor in location. So yeah, that right side is going to be a little bit better defenders. We do see Bio units stimming through. Moving up the top, Queen in a little bit of trouble. Ling Bane is going to chase on down. Crashing in. Quite a few of these Marines being picked off. We're going to be seeing other Bio units from ByuN continue to push through as well. So a couple of these creep tumors continue to fall. We do have 3 upgrades on the way on those engineering bays. Yeah, Solo looping all the way around the top side of the map here. Thor fires, puts the mutants back up to the top. Just going to be seeing our Bio units coming in. So picking away at a couple of these Banes. Some of the Lings definitely in a little bit of trouble. And let's see, I mean, this is obviously a bit of a split push at this stage from ByuN, right? As he's got these couple of Thors that are actually going to be pretty tanky in this scenario. Yeah, they should have. I mean, they're pretty tanky, but then there's no Bio backing them up. I thought these few units were going to try and fight with the Thors, deal some damage while they were out here taking the brunt of the damage, but apparently not. Yeah, Solo is able to clean that up as he pulls some units away up the right-hand side. Just going to come through. Sensor Tower gets picked off. And everything else continues to chase to the upper right as well. Going to be seeing these meters kind of getting sectioned off a little bit, right? If they want to get back up to the top. Yeah, they kind of flew through a few Marines. Now they have to go very far up top. And there's no real Banelings here to fight this. Like, there's a few, but not enough against this much Bio. Like, the numbers just don't add up. Tell you what is huge is that still is going to hit 3-3 before ByuN is. Meanwhile, Ling's going across the map, going to start running into this mineral line. So the Bio units around the top side going to come through. Ling Bane still in a little bit of trouble. Mutalisks going to be held off for the moment as well. 8, 9 SCVs going down. There's a little run by me. It does okay, but it's also a unit investment from Solo, who's about to have Ultras. Now, the Ultras make a difference. The Ultras actually have a huge role to play with the ability to actually just be a little bit sturdier army than just what the Ling Bane is. But ByuN is pretty serious about killing off this base. He's in this position. He will not let it go. Now being pushed back by the Banelings. His own reinforcements about to show up. He burrows a couple Widow Mines up. He gets one shot off. Was that both the shots? No, it was just the one shot. Felt like it trailed further than it should have done, but I mean, that's the kind of Widow Mines in a nutshell, I suppose. Let's see. Oh, nice Widow Mine again, hitting a few of these Lings. More Bio just going to stim up. And these Ultras, I'm kind of surprised that Solo's not getting a better grasp on this. I mean, I know that ByuN's army's rather large. I just felt with these Ultras coming out, Solo should have been able to push this back a bit better. But a couple of these Widow Mine shots going well, definitely helping. And we are going to see this top side hatchery going down. Queens are just wandering in from the backside, so Solo makes a pretty huge miss rally. These are Queens with a lot of energy as well, and they could have been transfusing Ultralisks. So that's a lot of Ultralisk HP basically just disappearing from the map. And less Queens means less creep spread as well, so every time ByuN kills creep teamers right now is going to be even more effective. Defensively speaking, ByuN does not have a lot. He's going to be relying on a few of these Widow Mines. Once these Banes are gone, though, oh my god, the Widow Mine's actually going to do really well. There's mostly just the Ultra left over when the Banelings are gone, so I guess not that bad. 15 SCVs down. I mean, I want to say ByuN can absorb that damage, but his economy is not great. 50 workers, and he doesn't have much of a bank to work on, and he's constantly trading. So he kind of needs to have money, otherwise the way that he's playing is just not going to, keep him alive. Has to cat against this Ultra right now, which is going to work. Gets that clean up and retake this base, but of course going to be vulnerable with no wall offset on that left-hand side. Another run by. It's going to be way more successful than the last one. We'll not have to waste Banelings crashing through depots. There's Marauder count in the front. I mean, ByuN is still just playing masses of bio units, right? He's not teching up at all. He's not going into Ghosts. He's not going into Liberators. He just wants to play the mass bio mine still against this, as we do see this other run by coming in. This time it's actually Mutas. They turn around. I mean, the Overseer wasn't quite there, I guess, so Widow Mines were a bit too dangerous. There wasn't that many Marines. It's mostly Marauders on this defense. Mutas just one at a time picking off Marines. Loses a Muta, but that's just the cost of war. ByuN is just struggling with money. He just doesn't have enough of it, I feel. If he can buy himself a couple moments here, he'll get maxed out again, but he's not able to remax or stay maxed out constantly at all at the moment, so backing off obviously helps him out with that, but it also gives Solo time where he's just mining off 85 drones. ByuN is going to come in and deny this topside hatchery yet again. Fieldings on this bottom side will not trade well. That Widow Mine, hello? That's literally like, if we zoom in properly, that's like half the screen. Widow Mine, how do you reach that far? Unbelievable. This is beautiful from ByuN as well, just trailing into the Widow Mine, then lifting up and going to try and go elsewhere. He knows the Muta's on the way, so he's going to have to unload. This isn't going to be pretty at the end for ByuN. He's going to lose a lot of these units. He'll try and escape once more. Get some Marauder out, a couple more shots, nothing really too valuable as we push through the bottom side. Let's see Ultra Bane continuing through as well. The Bio Army having to kite backwards. Widow Mines get burrowed up, and these Ultras will once again not quite be able to make their way through. And now Planter on the right-hand side goes down. 17 SCVs go down with it. It's a lot of workers killed. My goodness, that's painful. It's very painful. As you're going to see the rest of the bio then moving out to the left. Big push right now from ByuN as we're going to be seeing, well, Lingbane Ultra to try and come down and defend against this. Going to have this hatcher in a bit of trouble here. Come out Banes. Left and right side. I mean, where are you meant to run to is ByuN. He's got a couple Widow Mines out of position. Muta's coming in as well. ByuN is in a bit of trouble. Remember that ByuN does not have a lot of rebuild potential on the back of this as the Ultras charge in from the top side as well. Even more showing up from Solar as ByuN desperately rallies units in from the right-hand side. His two-map winning streak might be about to come to an end as right now Solar is just continuing through, barreling through this army, barreling through these bases. I mean, next on the list is just the heart of the production. I don't think there's going to be anything to stop Solar getting there. ByuN's army supply is not bad, it's just not enough. As we see Solar, there's no stopping this kid. He's just continuing through. Widow Mines continuing to blow up on everything that they can. But there's just Ling Ultra remaining. And Solar's big push down that bottom side. This is what we were building up to. Solar was slowly getting rid of more and more of ByuN's economy. And it gets to a point where ByuN's economy can't sustain a good enough army. And Solar's able to take a fight to win out. As he did a great job continuing to expand under a lot of pressure. Continuing to trade somewhat decently. And well enough while mining way more. And denying enough economy to make that style work. GG. Solar is going to the grand finals.